All right, topic 2. Kevin's topic, which is
Cheese.
cheese.
No.
Cheese.
My topic, I guess, is gonna be kind of short.
Okay.
But basically, I just got back from a long overseas travel for what I do for work. And Brett was saying, hey, you're talking about weird countries and stuff, like maybe talk a little bit about those.
Mm-hmm.
So like just a quick little story about last year. I got to do a trip or mission or whatever to Scotland and Spain, which was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I got to spend just about almost a month. Not every day, but you might go out for 4 days and then you'd come back into port on a day and you have 2 days maybe. So I got to spend about kind of like a month coming maybe weekly into port in Scotland, which was super cool. If anybody's ever traveling and they have the ability to stop in Scotland or something, I totally recommend it. Those people are super cool. They actually don't mind us as Americans, which, as far as I've seen, is a very hard quantity to find, that people don't just dislike us for being American, which I get sometimes. I truly do. Then I got to go to Spain, and we spent a week there. That was pretty cool. But this time, I started off going to Japan. This place called Sasebo, which is like really close to Nagasaki, where we unfortunately did some fireworks back in the day. But really nice area. You're all in the mountains there, and it's like I got there in the springtime, so like you see all like the samurai movies. There's always like the pink cherry blossom trees. Those were everywhere.
Nice.
And it makes the air smell like super nice. Number 1, Japanese people are super cool. 2, their food is amazing. And 3, there's just no shortage of stuff to get in and get involved with. We were in town at the same time this British ship came in, and it was filled with their version of Marines. So these guys are just a bunch of meatheads. So we're all at a restaurant, like watching something on TV, because Japanese people love wrestling. So I'm like getting into not just sumo, watching like regular like American style wrestling, and these British dudes got in a fight with each other.
Oh jeez.
Not even with like the Americans that were there, not even with the Japanese. They got in a fight with each other. About 10 minutes later of just watching this unfold on the street, there's like 40 bodies everywhere, just like on the ground, people knocked out, and we're just like, stepping over people, and that was just like, thank God it wasn't Americans, because we just don't come off well overseas sometimes. So you spent 2 months there, around 2.5. Spent a really long time in the Philippines. Never go there if you don't have to. Wasn't a fan. I know a lot of people really love the Philippines, but for all the reasons they loved the Philippines, I'm not interested in those things, so was of no use to me for a while. Then I went to Guam, which is actually part of the U.S., which is weird. You're like in the middle of the Pacific, and then you drive into the island, and it feels like you're in America, which is just super weird, honestly. And then went to Singapore a bunch of times.
Nice.
Which I've been there before, but saw a whole different part of the island this time. But you have a friend who's stationed in Guam. Yeah, so we were actually in and out of the base there. Guessing he's Navy or Air Force, maybe. I don't know. You can comment if you want. But we were in there. We weren't even getting fuel. I don't even remember what we were picking up, cargo or something. But it was weird because I hadn't been in the U.S. since February. Yeah, February.
Yep.
And I'm driving down the road in Guam, and there's a Wendy's. All right. Now I don't.
He doesn't recall. He doesn't, to be honest.
All right. Yeah. I think Navy and Air Force are the biggest groups there, so one of the two of them. But I'm not like a huge fan of Wendy's. I mean, as far as fast food goes, like it's definitely not in my top 3. But after not being around American food, I legitimately could have started crying at the thought of a Wendy's bacon cheeseburger.
Mm.
And you know what? I went and got one. And this Guamanian lady who was working the counters just looking at me, and I've got this like crazed smile on my face. I'm like, you know, like that. And she's like, oh my God, what is wrong with this guy? You know? And I'm like, you do not understand. This is my first like legitimate cheeseburger in 7 months. And she goes,
Sure.
all right, whatever. And so like I eat it. I'm just sitting there like, "Mwah, mwah." And I'm sure everybody in the restaurant is totally freaked out by this. But super
cheeseburger.
super nice place, like really pretty. Wish I could have spent more time there, but there was like this huge typhoon that was like almost like a Hurricane Katrina sized typhoon that was heading for this island. So we had to take off. We still got hit by it anyway, even though we tried to get out of the way, which, God, what, a week to 10 days of that storm hitting the ship was the worst. You couldn't walk around without having to hold on to railings everywhere you went. I mean, every time you take a step, it's like, you know, it's like an earthquake. But, I liked Guam. It was super cool. The only problem was it's a tropical island. Starts raining randomly and then it clears up.
Yeah.
But then it'll start raining again. And I'm trying to get to the car that I had for that day or two in Guam. And I'm on the ship. It's sunny.
Yep.
I get off the ship. I'm like 10 feet away from the ship. Downpour. And then I run to the car. I jump in, slam the door shut. I am soaked all the way through. And then it's sunny again, and I'm sitting there going, mother, you know? And then I got to go to like a Walmart or something, and that was the first time, again, I had been like anything American in a while, so it's like I'm hearing new songs on the radio that I have never heard of, musicians I've never heard of, still have no idea what a Cardi B is, trying to figure that out, because it's weird, because it's like 8 months of being... It'd be like if I took you out of here and put you like in a room where you can't talk to anybody, and for 8 months things are just happening in the U.S. like music, movies, whatever, and people from back home you finally get to talk to them. And they're like, "Oh, did you hear about this movie? Blah blah blah." Or "Did you hear this song? Blah blah." And I'm sitting there going, "Huh?" Because somebody was like, "Oh yeah, you know Cardi B," and I'm like, "Heck is a Cardi B?" And that is weird. That is really weird. It took me like a week to get used to being around like Americans again, like, cause like when you're around Japanese people, they're super cool, but like they're one of the funny things I learned there is like you go to like I don't know if you've ever been up to like Quebec, like in French Canada.
I have not been out of the United States.
So the people up there can speak English,
okay.
The French-speaking people, but they won't sometimes because they know you're an American and they don't want to make it easy for you.
Gotcha.
So in Japan, you think the same thing's going on, except for the fact that you find out like 40 to 50% of them speak English.
Pretty prominent.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But they apparently are very culturally nervous about speaking English because they're afraid that they're going to mispronounce something.
Right.
Which is like, you want to go up to them and be like, guys, if I were to speak Japanese, I would sound so much worse than you speaking English. Like, just let it out, let it flow, you know? But, you know, you get friendly with them and they start opening up, they warm up a little bit, because they're very, from what I saw, or at least maybe it's just the city I was in, they're very shy people. There's not like a whole lot of eye contact. You know, sometimes they're looking at their feet as they're walking around, and even when I saw like people talking to their friends, they're looking at the ground.
That might be like I don't know, like a challenging type, like they might feel like that kind of thing, so maybe that's why.
I think it's just cultural. It's not meant to be an insult or anything, but you know, you get talking to people, you get used to that. You learn a little bit of Japanese to try and, you know, show them how bad you are at Japanese to maybe make them better at English.
Konnichiwa.
I mean,
Toyota.
the biggest thing I learned was just to say arigato to everything, you know, thank you. Because, you know, at least they're going to be like, hey, this kid's an idiot, but he's polite.
Yeah,
you know. But, no, I mean, like, you know, it was, Toyota shaking my head. It was funny, though. One last story before I wrap up what I'm talking about here. One of my buddies had heard there was a Harley Davidson store in Japan, which, you know, I mean, other than McDonald's, I feel like Harley Davidson is one of the most American things ever. So I'm like, that's really kind of cool that that's, you know, over here. So my buddy, and you know what, and actually it's kind of neat that he said that, because I've had this tradition of whenever I go overseas, if I can get my dad a Harley, because he used to ride all the time until just after we moved here, he got in like a terrible motorcycle accident nearby here, and that was the end of his riding. Yeah. But I still get him a Harley Davidson t-shirt from all the ports I go to. I even got him one from Djibouti, Africa, which is like Djibouti. One, the name is just so great. Djibouti, the place so nice they named it twice. And it's right next to Somalia, which we all know was a paradise. Yep. But so I was like, oh cool, I can get my dad a Japanese Harley Davidson t-shirt. You know, he's gonna love this, which he did, because he's worn it like 3 times since I've been home now.
If you don't say chair exactly right, you'll end up saying tentacle or something completely unrelated.
So that's what I thought. It turns out that's less of an issue for Japanese than it is Chinese. So like, I'm totally gonna. I don't speak Japanese or Chinese or Japanese really, obviously, but let's say you have something like Chinese word "wu," right, like W-U. Depending on how you say it, like your tone, it can mean like 5 different things. So you're saying the same word, but if you're saying like chair, if you don't say it like excitedly, but you say it kind of like "woo" or whatever, like you said, you're saying tentacle or something. Japanese is less of an issue with that, but they've got like it's very formal people, so it's a very formal language, and there's formal and informal, and if you screw that up, I guess you can kind of make an ass out of yourself. Right. But anyway, so
Djibouti,
we go to we get a taxi, go to this Harley Davidson place, and there was 3 of us going, and we thought my buddy who got the taxi, because he was hanging behind to pay the guy, right? So me and my other buddy, we start to walk into the store. And we thought he was telling the taxi driver to hang out for a little bit, because we weren't going to be in there very long, you know, so we didn't want to, you know, we were way out of the city from where we normally were, so we weren't sure what, like, taxis were going to be like. Yeah. So we're in the store looking at shirts, and we see the taxi pull away, and we're like, you know, so we looked at him and go, hey, did you tell him to wait behind? He goes, no, why would we need to do that? And we go, because none of us speak Japanese, and we're not going to be able to get a taxi. So we couldn't get one because it's like way outside where they normally go. So we had to walk like 2 miles back, and it was like just starting to get hot in Japan. Like it was like 80-something degrees, and like we're still wearing like work clothes or whatever, so it's really hot. Yeah. And that was pretty miserable. But finally, I just find some older Japanese guy who's driving a taxi, and I run over. I'm like, hey, hey! And he just starts laughing, and he opens the doors for me. But I really enjoyed my time there. It was cool people. It's probably, other than Scotland, I'd say Japan was my favorite. I'd like to go back there just for personal travel, not for work. But
so that's kind of the reason I want to talk about this too, is your trips, where you've been, because previously on the podcast we've talked about places you'd like to visit, and then on my Game Over Greggy show appearance, the topic started off, would you ever live somewhere else besides the U.S.? And then it went into the whole gun control thing because of the shooting in Florida at the Madden tournament. Woo! That went a whole different way. Yeah. But a place I've mentioned I'd like to go visit, not that I have like a burning passion to go, but I'm like, that might be cool, is Japan. Now, I don't know if you could say it. Were you in Tokyo, Japan, or was it somewhere else?
No, so there's 2 really, for ships anyway, there's 2 bases that we go to in Japan. You have Sasebo, which is, so basically, if you don't know, like, Japan's made of like 6,000 islands. And then the ones you see on the map, that's the big 4. Right. So you have Honshu, which is where, like Tokyo is and whatnot. You have Hokkaido, which is the northern island. You have Shikoku, and well,
the other one.
Forgetting the 4th one. My bad to anybody who lives on that island. so you got Sasebo, which is in the southern end, and then you have Yokosuka, which is up near Tokyo. It's like a 40-minute train ride to Tokyo. So I didn't. Unfortunately, we were supposed to go there, but with missions changing all the time, we didn't end up having to go there anymore. Mm-hmm. Really wanted to though, because there's like they got that bullet train there, that fast speed, and I just really want to ride one of those because when I was a kid, loved Thomas the Tank and all that. So I'm like, yo, this would totally kick Thomas's ass. So
gotta go fast.
No, unfortunately, I didn't get to go to Tokyo. I was really looking forward to it. I got to spend a little bit of sorry to all of it. Yeah, well, you know, Brett said he has a huge following in Japan, but
oh yeah, we follow Enigma 911. Now we don't.
Fuck you, Brett.
Fuck you, Toyota.
Yeah, no, it's I got to spend a little time in Seoul, South Korea, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
By the way, fastest data network in the world. So when you get on your phone there, it's like before you even press search, they're pulling up results. It's like, no.
How did you know?
No, but to answer that question though, if you told me I could live anywhere else besides the U.S. And this is gonna offend Canadians, I consider Canada part of the U.S.
Oh yeah.
Basically, I grew up right next to them as a young guy. We're basically the same. I don't know what.
Give them a couple of drinks, the accent will come out.
Yeah. Well, hey, off the drinks, all together nowadays, which is a good thing. Okay. But what do you? Oh yeah. So anyway, Canada basically us. I don't know what they're playing at. Get over yourselves. I would pick Scotland because Scotland was I have no idea how to explain it, but I was talking to a friend of mine from the Lake George area I grew up with, whose family are really Scottish, and they've traveled there to meet family and stuff because they're like first or second generation American. And I actually just found out my I had always understood I was like Irish and maybe some German. Apparently my mom's father or whatever was actually adopted, so we thought he was American, but he was actually born in Scotland, which was like kind of cool, you know. And I just learned that before I went there, so it was kind of almost like a weird feeling, like, hey, I'm going where my grandfather's from, you know. And this friend of mine said something like, it's weird when you go there, right? And I said, what do you mean? And she goes, you almost feel like you're at home, like there's something like very familiar, or like, I don't know, you feel at home, you feel connected. And I totally agree with her. It's the weirdest thing. It's like you're wandering around there, you get talking. Yeah, and I was around Glasgow area, which is like southern, not like in the Highlands or whatever. Which is, my family was from like the Highlands area, I guess, like Braveheart. But yeah, no, it's like it's the weirdest feeling. You go there and I felt so connected to the people and everything, and we were in the same town for like a month, so. You're going out to bars and restaurants with the same. It's a small town we were going to, so it's the same people. You made a lot of friends. I made a really good friend who's a little older than us, named Alex. Still talk to him on Facebook and stuff. He's a really cool dude. Couldn't ask for more welcoming people. Like when they found out, like my grandfather was actually Scottish, people were like saying "Welcome home," like "What took you so long?" type thing, and it's like just really cool experience. I'd pick that if that was me being asked the question.
Nice. Yeah. So I don't know, like. I thought Tokyo would be cool. The more you're talking about Scotland, I think it'd be cool. Like, I don't know. A basic bitch answer would be England, just because I feel it'd be the easiest to assimilate myself to, but I don't know.
It's, you know, it's weird. Like, you ever see that Green Street Hooligans movie?
I don't think so.
So the guy who played Frodo from Lord of the Rings, it's this American kid that goes to England to see his sister because he got kicked out of Harvard or whatever. And so he ends up hanging out like in soccer countries, big soccer countries like England or Germany. It's like so much different than American sports. You can't, not every soccer fan obviously, but there are people that join these gangs of hooligans, right? And they get together before games and after games, and they're basically almost criminal. I mean, like, there's riots, there's fights with other teams, gangs and stuff, you know? And we don't have anything like that. I mean, you know, Yankees, Red Sox fans might get into it with each other, but it's never like this. And I was in Glasgow for their, like, biggest rivalry for the country. It was Celtic versus Rangers, right? And people are coming up to me in the bathroom at bars going, "Oi, who are you for? You know, Celtic or Rangers?" And I'm like, at first I was trying to answer because I know a little bit about soccer. I watch a little bit about it, and I was like, I think I like Celtic. I've watched them a little bit. And they're like, "No, you don't. Celtic fans are a bunch of fucking terrorists and blah blah blah." Like calling each other terrorists, which even Yankees and Red Sox fans would never do that. So, you think that it would be so easy to assimilate, and then stuff like that happens, and I'm walking down the street, and there's people chanting and marching, like waving their fists in the air, like looks like World War II Germany people, and they're like wearing their team colors and stuff, and it's like you're just sitting there going, oh. So finally I just started saying, "Oh, I don't watch soccer," and they go, "Oh, fucking American, blah 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 blah," and yeah, you would think you would fit in so well, and then it's like, I'm gonna these people might as well be speaking German or French, because I don't understand. And then you have to ask them to slow down. The accent is so thick, and they have different slang than we do. But I was also told by them, and I never would have thought this, they like American English. Because we apparently pronounce things clear. Oh, there you go. We pronounce things like clear or whatever. So I heard this one guy say, no one's ever going to tell you this to your face, but we actually do like the American accent because it's a little bit easier to understand. Like, because even they can't understand each other. If you have a Scottish guy talking to a dude from like I don't know, London, and he's got that Cockney accent, they can't understand each other. It's worse than us not being able to understand.
Oh boy.
But
well, maybe one day travels will occur. I don't know. That's quite a venture. I'll stay in the USA for now. Das Boot.